This is a Wish TV news special. Indy turns 200. The celebration begins.
And welcome to this historic kickoff. The Bicentennial celebration for the city of Indianapolis this month marks 200 years since the city's founding.
The coronavirus pandemic has prevented us from having a huge kickoff on Monument Circle. That's why Wish TV is proud to partner with the city of Indianapolis and the Indiana Historical Society to get the year-long party started.
Indianapolis, you connect the nation. Your roads were paved by yesterday's change makers, brought to life by generations of doers. From your industry innovations to your artistic creations, your victories can be seen from every direction. But we still have a ways to go. We need more justice, more equity, more action. In the past, you faced times of hardship, not with despair, but with dedication, generosity, and a steadfast love for every heart that calls you home. Now you must show that love again in new and more tangible ways to our Indianapolis family members of every color, faith, sexual orientation, and gender. Indianapolis, you are built on 2 centuries of legacy, driven by determination and progress. You have brought people together to achieve your greatest ambitions. Let's bring people together now, because at the heart of your crossroads is victory.
When our state commissioners came together on June 7th, 1820, and decided to relocate Indiana's capital to this land at the edge of Fall Creek and the White River, they weren't looking to take advantage of a busy port or an abundance of resources or a budding metropolis. They relocated to the center of our new state because they saw what could be. Their vision and a willingness to adapt to an evolving nation led Indianapolis to become America's crossroads. And when the early automobile presented our country with a new mode of transport, Indianapolis worked to become its proving ground. Our worldwide reputation as a racing capital has now stood for over a century. And when a group of leaders led by then Mayor Richard Lugar saw what was possible if our city literally changed its borders, they redrew the maps and set the stage for a whole new Indianapolis to emerge. For me, the story of our bicentennial is a story of a city restless to define itself as bigger and better with each new generation. It is a story of a diverse people shaping our city in myriad ways, of German immigrants filling the city with architectural marvels, of an African-American community home to national figures like Major Taylor, Madam C.J. Walker, and Wes Montgomery, of Hispanic, Latinx, Burmese, and other cultures, adding new threads to our city's rich tapestry. Above all, the story of Indianapolis is a story of change. One of the reasons outsiders have trouble defining us is because we never sit still. Not when we know we could do even better. Today, as we look back at 200 years, we must embrace our story. Challenging times will not stop us. Indeed, challenging times have always provided a forum for our city's greatest achievements. And in another 100 years, residents will look back to today. When they do, they will again draw inspiration to imagine something even better. And in that way, they will continue the story of Indianapolis.
And over the past 200 years, Indianapolis has been home to people who have helped reshape the world.
Eli Lilly grew up in Indiana before serving as a colonel in the Civil War. He moved to Indianapolis in 1867, working as a pharmacist and chemist before opening his own shop in May of 1867. That business is now Eli Lilly and Company, providing life-saving medicines to people around the world. Madam C.J. Walker chose Indianapolis as the site for a factory for her line of hair care products. She became the first African-American woman to be a self-made millionaire and pushed for civil rights changes and anti-lynching laws in the United States. Her name is still on the Madam Walker Theater downtown.
James Whitcomb Riley was known as the Hoosier poet in the golden age of Indiana literature. His work was most often targeted to children, and communities around the country would hold annual Riley Days to honor him. Riley Hospital for Children was created and named in his honor after his death in 1916. John Morton Finney was a Buffalo soldier who moved to Indianapolis with his wife after World War I. He was a lawyer, civil rights advocate, and educator who earned 11 collegiate degrees. Morton Finney was the first teacher hired at the new Crispus Attucks High School in 1927. The IPS headquarters building is named after him.
Indianapolis has also produced one United States President. Benjamin Harrison was a Hoosier by choice, serving as Indianapolis City Attorney, Supreme Court reporter, and as a brigadier general during the Civil War. Harrison was in Indianapolis on the day in June 1888 when he won the Republican Party nomination for president.
People kind of work from the assumption, 19th century, it must have kind of clip-clopped along with a buggy, and that's how the news came. No, it came by telegraph. So, everything was wired. You could get news instantaneously. And that news came from Chicago to Harrison when he was in his law office. And he knew that news had arrived elsewhere in the city simultaneously because they described it at the time, and this was from a great newspaper account, as the night Indianapolis roared. So as that news came across, you could actually hear the city kind of rising in jubilation. And it was not related to party affiliation. It was, I think, recognition that Indianapolis had come into its own.
Harrison mounted much of his campaign from the front porch of his home on North Delaware Street, addressing crowds that would come from across the country.
The Indiana Historical Society, with the help of a Lilly Endowment grant, is celebrating 200 years with a bicentennial exhibit. I had a chance to talk with the woman behind it.
So about 2 years ago, we started with a generous donation, a grant from the Lilly Foundation, and I had a team, and we started soliciting donations, doing outreach, looking through our collections, and aggressively processing and scanning different items from different collaborators throughout the city, mostly the city government, and different sort of quasi-governmental things like Indigo, utilities, public utilities, infrastructure, things like that.
Over the past 2 years, how many collections have you been able to find?
We have processed or inventoried about 40 collections. I would say about 2/3 of them are loans for digitization, which means we are scanning the material and giving it back to the owner. And then the other third are things that were donated outright. You
have some of your favorites here, right?
Yeah, I thought I'd give some context first about the Bicentennial. We did this in 1920 to celebrate the centennial. So what the city did in 1920 was they put together this history pageant. And that's what I have here. This is a pageant script, and it is a living sort of showing the history over the first 100 years with different actors. 51 years later, in 1971, the city celebrates the sesquicentennial. And I feel like this celebration is a little bit more swag-centric, so I brought in some items I have from my personal collection. This is a sign.
Yep.
There were lots of logos designed for the sesquicentennial.
Mass transit here in Indianapolis has changed tremendously over the years. What have you been able to unearth?
Well, as it's changed over the years, I'd say the routes don't change. The routes are pretty stable in terms of where our city was planning different routes based on the neighborhoods and what is a dense area and what is a commercial corridor. So what I have here are about 50 years of maps from Indigo. The Indigo collection is great because it's showing you change over time, and we start in 1864 with just this little sort of mile square track with the end of Fountain Square, Prospect, Shelby, Virginia.
Union Station here?
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
And then you can track it over time. You can watch sort of the city grow and see where the sort of populated neighborhoods are. Here we are in the 1878 route, and you can see, Irvington is popping up, and we've got a north side spoke.
Yep.
Here's 1888, a little bit more action on the south side and the west side. So now by the 1900s, people are really using mass transit. And this is where you can start to overlay the current Indigo red line and the incoming blue and purple lines, and a lot of these streets will match up because it's the same area, it's the same commercial corridors. You know, these areas are built for dense movement of commerce and activity. So later on, this is in 1950-ish. This is just your more traditional sort of bus trolley look. You can see the trolley lines are now tracks. If you think about when the Cultural Trail was going in or when they were doing red line construction, you might have seen some of these kind of tracks.
So this is this right here. This is our beautiful canal.
Yeah,
look at this.
Right out there.
Unbelievable.
This is showing sort of a walking through the downtown canal before what we think of today, which is this great walkable amenity. Well, back then, it was essentially a trench. It was where they were trying to make a more robust waterway to bring boats through, but they couldn't. The state went bankrupt.
Very interesting. Another key note about an artifact in the founding of Indianapolis. This picture shows the table used in that 1820 meeting. The man, Amos McCormick, a relative of John McCormick. The table disappeared from the State House around the time Indianapolis celebrated its 100th birthday.
You can't have a birthday party without birthday wishes from some of your favorite friends. We found a bunch of people ready to wish Indianapolis a happy 200th.
Happy 200th birthday, Indianapolis. What a milestone, and amazing to think you get even better looking with age. We can't wait to celebrate with all of you at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, but until then, stay safe and stay well.
Happy birthday, Indy. Lots of love. Cheers to 200 more.
Happy 200th birthday, Indianapolis. I feel so blessed to call this place home, and I've met so many incredible people here.
Hi, this is Steve Campbell, Vice President at the Indianapolis Colts and a member of Indianapolis's Bicentennial Commission. I'm here wishing my hometown of Indianapolis a very, very happy 200th birthday.
Happy birthday, Indianapolis, and go Dogs!
From all of us here at Pacers Gaming, happy 200th birthday, Indy.
From Calabee's Urban Naturalist, happy birthday, Indy!
I've got the skyline behind me. Happy birthday number 200, Indianapolis.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Indianapolis. Girl, you're looking good for 200, honey. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, and many more.
Happy birthday to our state's capital. As the Circle City hits the 2-century mark, I've got to say, Indy, 200 looks good on you.
All of us want to wish our wonderful hometown a very happy bicentennial birthday. We love Indianapolis, and we're so proud of the great Hoosier State.
Hi, this is Allison Barber, president of the Indiana Fever, and I'm in downtown Indy to wish our city a happy birthday. Now, lots of people will say happy birthday. How many people will play it on their kazoo? Happy birthday, Indianapolis.
Hey everybody, I'm Clay. And I'm Dave. We're here at Sun King Brewery, and we wanted to wish Indianapolis a happy 200th birthday. Cheers.
Indy is a mosaic of all different textures and colors and flavors. Each part of the city offers something unique for now and for the future.
I was actually raised a few blocks away from the station here in downtown Indy, and for me, this is home.
People in Indianapolis are approachable and relatable. It's just full of kindness and welcoming spirit.
The people of Indianapolis have an admirable mix of modesty, but also intense pride in their community. We know who we are, but we never shy away from a chance to get better at it.
Indianapolis is willing to help others when needed, willing to host just about anything and do it really well.
This is a city with a rich history.
You can't drive more than 2 blocks in any one direction without seeing the ways and the places, the monuments, the memorials that this city dedicates to making sure we honor the past while still charging toward the future. It's been fascinating to watch a city seize control of its own fate.
When I grew up, there was nothing happening downtown. So now that everything is booming downtown, we have malls, we have restaurants, it's just something to be proud of.
How do I sum up Indianapolis in one sentence? Indianapolis is a city as big or as small as you want it to be.
Happy Bicentennial, Indy. The celebration begins.
I'm Steve Goldsmith. I was fortunate enough to be the mayor of Indianapolis from 1991 to 2000. As Indy turns 200, we can be rightfully proud. We've come so far together, but we also can celebrate with a recognition of how far we must go. You know, when I graduated from Blockville High School a long time ago, Indianapolis was not such a great place. People were fleeing for the suburbs, and others called it India no place. About that time, Dick Lugar created, as mayor, Unigov, and built a great urban university in IUPUI. Bill Hudnut came along and added the Amateur Sports Initiative. And we brought additional pieces of White River Park improvements and the canal and the field house and the mall and other areas of entertainment in downtown Indianapolis in order to make the center of the city a great beacon for the region and a great source of jobs for those who live nearby. But now as we look at Indianapolis during this very challenging period, facing a virus and fiscal challenges and justice challenges and some violence challenges as well, it's time for us to leverage our strengths to build an even better Indianapolis. We have more regional wealth than ever before, but we also have more poverty than ever before. We possess abundant Hoosier spirit and concern for others, but growing inequity and despair. Let's celebrate our 200th with a renewed regional commitment to broaden hope and opportunity for all of our residents. Happy birthday, Indianapolis, on your 200th anniversary, and good luck for the future.
Happy 200th birthday, Indianapolis. You know, we have so much to celebrate on this important occasion. How far our city's come, just in my lifetime. We've come from being something of an afterthought to being a true big league American city. A little symbol of that is this historic Lockerbie Square neighborhood that I'm standing in, that Amy and I have come to call home. Not the home behind me, by the way, that's the James Whitcomb Riley Home Museum. But we also have to acknowledge that we're celebrating Indianapolis's 200th birthday in a really difficult time in American history. We're in the midst of a global pandemic that has caused death, isolation, fear. The economic impact of it hasn't even yet fully formed. We are going through a time where so many unresolved issues of social injustice are coming out in social unrest, the likes of which we haven't seen probably since the 1960s. Our politics are as divided as they've ever been. I bring all of this up in the context of Indianapolis's 200th birthday because it seems to me that Indianapolis has an opportunity to really lead America to a better place, to be a model for what America can be going forward. And I think it'd be good at this moment to reflect on one piece of Indianapolis history that we can draw upon as we try to be that model. On April 4th, 1968, on the day that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, Bobby Kennedy came to Indianapolis and famously spoke at a park about a mile and a half straight north of this point where I'm standing right now. And he talked to America and Indianapolis about the fact that we could choose between hatred and division and stay on that path, or we could choose the path of love and understanding. It seems to me that right now, Indianapolis needs to choose the path of love and understanding, and once again serve as a model for American healing. Thank you.
I want people really to celebrate this bicentennial. I think it's really important. The city has been tremendous for a long time, obviously, but 200 years and thriving at this point in time is really something I think we can all be proud of. There's a humility aspect that goes along with Hoosier hospitality, but at certain times we have to tell people what a great city this is. Because of the people that have been involved in for so long. 50, 60 years ago, we were just another Midwestern city trying to figure it out. But we actually got ahead of our peers quite rapidly and quite far because of the people came together, and the nonprofit sector and the business sectors and the civic sectors all worked together for the common good. And that is really what has propelled us to where we are today. And I hope that that collaboration continues into the future, but I would like us to brag just a little bit more in the future so that people realize what a great place this is.
Indianapolis has developed into a home for some of the country's top cultural events every year. On the top of that list, the Indiana Black Expo. Here is Expo President and CEO Tanya McKenzie.
As we celebrate 200 great years with the city of Indianapolis, we are so thankful to be a part of this celebration. For 50 years, Indiana Black Expo has contributed to the culture and the heritage of this great city. The city has been a great partner with us. It has partnered with us to put on one of the largest African American events in the country, Summer Celebration in Indianapolis in July, where we uplift small minority businesses, and we have education conferences and a variety of development opportunities for our great city. We also partner with the city every year to put on Circle City Classic, which is a historically Black college event, and we showcase the spirit and energy of those schools. We're very ecstatic to be a part of this celebration, and we look forward to working with the city on making progress in a lot of areas to make sure that all citizens and residents of Indianapolis enjoy a quality life. Thank you so much again for allowing Indiana Black Expo to take part in this wonderful celebration.
And from championship teams to heartbreaking moments, sports has played a huge role in the building of Indianapolis. News 8's Charlie Clifford takes us through all the turns.
At the heart of Indianapolis, sports and culture. 2.5 miles of sacred racetrack surrounded by 250,000 permanent seats. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the largest single-day sporting event in the world, the Indianapolis 500. The visionary Carl Fisher in 1909, followed by owners Eddie Rickenbacker, the Holman George family, and Roger Penske. 3 drivers to claim the Borg-Warner Trophy a record 4 separate times: A.J. Foyt, Al Unser Sr., and Rick Mears. Baseball owns a place here too. The Indianapolis Clowns, an important piece of the Negro League Baseball's rich history, winning 4 league pennants over 5 seasons beginning in 1950. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Indians were playing ball too. Beautiful downtown ballpark, Victory Field, arrived in 1996. The Indiana Pacers' 3rd season in franchise history ends with an American Basketball Association championship, throwing back-to-back titles in 72 and 73, and this team isn't going anywhere, officially joining the NBA ranks in 1976. Coach Bobby Slick Leonard, his wife Nancy, and Pacers supporters saved the franchise 1 year later with a last-minute telethon. Then an important call for jump shooter Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer, 18 years with the club, leading the team toe-to-toe with a pair of basketball's greatest dynasties. The Fever did reach the mountaintop. Hall of Famer Tamika Catchings leading the club to the 2012 WNBA Championship, a proud franchise celebrating 20 years this summer. The golden boy of professional sports in Indianapolis, quarterback Peyton Manning, the NFL's only 5-time most valuable player, helping lead the Colts alongside head coach Tony Dungy to the Super Bowl 41 title. Just 1 year later, one of the best venues in sports arrives, Lucas Oil Stadium. Owner Jim Irsay in charge after his father Robert's decision to move from Baltimore in 1984. A couple more surprises of late. Manning let go in 2012. Fellow star quarterback Andrew Luck retiring at just 29 years old. Finally, a trip to campus in historic Hinkle Fieldhouse. For over 2 decades, beginning in the late 1920s, no basketball venue in America housed more fans. But Butler's finest moment came 60 years later. A native Hoosier wonder kid on the bench, Brad Stevens, leads the underdog Bulldogs to back-to-back NCAA national championship games. Gordon Hayward's final shot nearly stunned powerhouse Duke in 2010. Arguably the most iconic what-if in college basketball history. 100 years in a matter of minutes. Indianapolis, a sports city as proud as they come.
Happy birthday, Indianapolis. Thank you for watching.
Absolutely. So much to be proud of in the city of ours. Have a wonderful evening.